Welcome to My Atlanta Homegirl. We're here, we meet at the intersection of real estate and lifestyle. I'm your host, Carly, and I'm an Atlanta real estate agent. Today's episode, we'll be talking about how I balance working full time in real estate tech while also selling homes part time. Today will be entrepreneurial focused and a little bit lifestyle focused. And we'll be talking about how I'm able to do both roles successfully. I'm excited for this conversation. Let's jump right into it. Before we talk about how I'm able to balance these roles successfully, I kind of want to pause and explain what I do full time in real estate tech and what I do as a part time real estate agent. So this is often confused when I introduce myself to people and I tell them, hey, I'm Carly, I work in real estate tech and I also sell houses on the side. They think that I work for that company selling houses, and they're completely different entities. In real estate tech, it's a corporate role where I actually work in customer success, and my main client is a real estate agent. And I teach real estate agents how to use technology built by this company in order to supercharge and grow their business. What I do as a real estate agent is completely separate. My main client there is a Atlanta buyer or seller who is trying to buy or sell their personal properties. And I help them achieve that goal, help them buy or sell their homes. And so similar, but totally unrelated. It's actually pretty cool because I have more credibility in my full-time role because I'm a real estate agent, and more credibility as a real estate agent because I work in real estate tech. And so they're very similar, but they are totally separate roles. In order for me to be successful in both roles, I have to clearly define what success looks like in both roles. Now, when you work at a corporate company, defining success is actually much easier than when you're an entrepreneur. And here is why. At a corporation, likely if there's a role already established, then there are already workflows already established. There is a weekly agenda or weekly task items that you already have. There are likely metrics already set and established by leadership that you must achieve. Usually, you're meeting with your manager and you're having one on ones and you're defining success in that role, and your manager is holding you accountable to achieving success. There's this whole ecosystem and there's a whole environment in corporate that is easy for you to just walk into, assimilate to. You know what you need to do on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to be successful at that corporate role. Entrepreneurship is completely different. And so when you define success in entrepreneurship, it's not as easy. You aren't walking into a role that's predefined. You don't have a weekly workflow. You don't have daily habits and tasks that were handed to you that define success. Likely, you only have this goal in your head of what success looks like as an entrepreneur. Okay. And so when you're balancing both, you want to establish what success looks like, because then that'll help you understand what your daily and weekly habits are in order to get there. In corporate, that process is typically very easy. In entrepreneurship, that process is much different. And it's very important that you define success, that you identify that goal, because then you can work backwards and get to the daily or weekly habits that you need in order to meet that goal. And then the daily and weekly habits will help you identify what time management looks like in order for you to balance both. Now, one way that I identify what my goals are as an entrepreneur is by using this system that I learned from the book called Traction. Highly recommend this to every entrepreneur who is listening to this right now. I started using Traction 2 businesses ago. So, not with my real estate business, but I started using Traction during my cleaning business. And this entrepreneurial operating system, basically EOS is what they call it. This system and this framework, it helped me scale this cleaning business to 6 figures in like 1 or 2 years. So I was like, oh, it clearly works. And so I took that same framework and I applied it to being a real estate agent. This framework is super helpful for me in my business because in previous years it's helped me get success, and it also helps me identify these main goals and turn it into an operating system, which is basically daily habits in order to achieve these goals. So what this framework is, it helps you to identify what your 10-year goal is. And then it has you identify your 3-year goal. And then it has you identify your 1-year goal. And it has you identify the two goals in front of it, because if you can identify where you want to be at in 10 years, then you ask yourself, okay, well, where do I need to be in 3 years to get there in 10 years? And then it helps you ask yourself, okay, well, where do I need to be in a year to get to where I want to be in 3 years? And setting that goal and that bar just super high up, it really helps you get really granular on what you need to do in a year or even every day in order to achieve that goal. And so what I do year after year is I set yearly goals for myself. For example, this year I set a yearly goal of like how many houses I wanted to sell, the amount of volume that I want to do. And then after you have a yearly goal, it breaks it down into quarterly goals. This is super important. Breaking your goals down into each quarter, it definitely helps you stay motivated, because if you wake up every day and you're thinking like, oh, I have to reach this 1 year goal, it can be kind of overwhelming to think of like this big thing that you want to reach at the end of the year. And so sometimes it's easier to think about your goals in quarters or even weeks, right? Like just focusing on the next few high impact activities for the next day, week, or even quarter, and those actions will lead you to the yearly end goal. So, some things I put on my quarterly action plan are the amount of people that I want to have real estate conversations with per week, the amount of consultations I want to have per week and per month, the amount of social media posts I want to put out per week and per month, and the amount of open houses that I want to host per week and per month. Oh, and lastly, the amount of outreaches I want to make to friends and family per week and per month. Once I'm able to identify these things on a weekly or monthly basis, now I have a framework of what I need to do on a daily basis in order to accomplish these larger goals. And because I've been able to define success looks like reaching these weekly or monthly goals, then I can break that down into what I need to do every week to be successful in my entrepreneurial efforts. And so, usually I time block to get these things done. Now, I've done it two different ways where I'm time blocking a little bit of time to do each thing after work. So, for example, I'll work from home from 9 to 5, and then in my evenings or weekends, I'll time block a little bit to get each of these like bigger action items done. And personally, my brain doesn't work well like that. I get completely overwhelmed. And so what I've started doing recently is every day I have a time block where I can have like focus time on one thing. So if it's on Mondays, my focus time is on like creating content after work. It's on Tuesdays, my focus time is like doing all follow up, touching base, right? If it's on Wednesdays, my focus is open houses, right? Getting prepared for that. And each day after work, I have a thing that I just want to focus on that day. And that all helps me reach my monthly goals with my business. And then that helps me be relieved, because I know if I'm doing all of these things on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, I can look back at the end of the year and say, like, oh my goodness, I've hosted this many open houses, posted this many posts, had this many conversations about real estate. And in turn, that turns into results. But I don't focus too much on the results. I focus mostly on the high impact daily action items. It helps hold myself accountable, so I'm not really like getting distracted by busy work, and I'm actually focusing on the high impact activities that'll actually drive my business forward. And so as long as I'm doing that in my corporate role, tracking my metrics and focusing on daily high impact activities, and in my entrepreneurship role, then I know that I will see success. What that actually looks like for my work week is clocking in the morning, usually at my full time role about 9 o'clock. And then I do that until about lunch. I always take lunch, a time to like decompress and not think about work, go on a walk, and I always cook myself a nice meal. Come back to work, and then I finish at 5. And then in the evenings, that's what like some of the working on my business looks like. In the evenings, I'll also take clients on showings. So I'll do that every week. And then I'll also go on the weekends, I'll host open houses or also do showings. So that's when I'm able to schedule and have like client face to face time. And if need be, I'll also hire a showing assistant because they'll help me with like a lot of the showings if I do get overwhelmed. Some other things that I've learned to do as a real estate agent just to kind of like help myself be more efficient is I hire a contract to close assistant. They are a non negotiable for me. And basically, they're just like a virtual assistant per se. They help me with contract paperwork, they help me with scheduling inspections, they help with scheduling appraisals. Like once we go under a contract, I literally just hand the file to my contract to close assistant and they take care of the rest. So that helps me not do the busy work in my business and it helps me stay focused on the metrics that I've set for myself because those are the things that are going to actually grow my business and help me be successful. Hiring a contract to close assistant or hiring a virtual assistant is a lot of busy work that I delegate out just so that I can continue on the growth of my business and having meaningful conversations. They can handle a lot of the paperwork. Some other practical things that I make sure to involve in my week so that I'm able to juggle both roles successfully is just self care and wellness. So, when it comes to time blocking, some non negotiables are definitely working out. I mentioned I start my full time role at 9 o'clock in the morning. I will make sure that I work out at least 3 times a week. And on the days that I work out, girl, I am waking up early and going to the gym at 7 a.m. So I usually do a class through ClassPass and I'll do like a Pilates class or cycling or hot yoga. Those are usually my 3 go-tos as far as the class throughout the week. And they just help me make sure that like I feel good and that my body feels good and that I have the energy to actually work all day. And so it's just a way of pouring into myself because the more that I have more self-care, the more I'm able to actually show up for my clients in both roles. Some other non negotiables for myself when it comes to balancing both roles would be food. I cook all of my meals. I do eat out. I'm not going to sound like I don't eat out, but when I'm at home, I work remote. Like I am cooking the majority, 90% of my meals. And I do it that way for a reason. One, because it's a way for me to kind of like disengage and step away from my laptop, step away from whatever I'm working on, whoever, like step away from a meeting that I may just have gotten out of. And it's a way for me to like regulate my nervous system to just calm down. And I am one that actually like when I make my meals, I make them usually from scratch. Like I'm chopping vegetables during my lunch hour and I am boiling potatoes or boiling beans for dinner. And it's just a way for me to like slow down, to like relax, to take my mind off of work. So not only does it help me, I enjoy it, it helps me relax. And also a good meal helps give me energy, helps me stay focused throughout the day. So whenever I am having client conversations, I'm showing up as my best self. And the third thing that I do to be able to balance both roles successfully and stay sane is I reserve time in the morning also to work on myself. So that can be journaling, prayer, gratitude list, etc. I say morning, but I try to squeeze it in any time of the day, wherever I can, wherever I can fit it in. But I just need like 20 minutes to step away from my desk just to like focus on my mindset. Or if I'm going from role to the next and I need to just pour into myself, that's another thing that I do to make sure that my cup is full so that I can pour into others. And so, if you want to successfully balance a full time career and growing a business on the side, my number one tip for you would be self care. Self care will help give you the energy to do everything else. And then after that, you'll want to define success in each role, set your goals, and then figure out what daily habits you need to accomplish them. And so, I hope this video was helpful for you if you are navigating working full time and trying to grow a business on the side. If you're navigating burnout and you're just stressed from trying to do both, I hope that you remember to take care of yourself. And if you're trying to figure out what success looks like for both roles, I hope that this video helped you. If you are in the Atlanta market and you're an entrepreneur or a corporate professional, I would love to connect with you. I love having conversations with other business owners, other corporate professionals, other baddies in tech. So reach out to me. I can't wait to connect with you, and I will see you in the next video.